Welcome back to Morning Express. We now turn our attention to discussions in a build-up to 2027 as citizens continue to demand credibility in the elections off the back of the November 8 governorship election in Anambra. The opposition has rejected the outcome of the election. However, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has congratulated the incumbent governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, on his re-election for a second term. Persons have also cited irregularities in terms of vote buying and vote selling that also characterized the conduct of the Anambra Gubu polls. However, in line of a summit held yesterday by the First Daily newspaper, we'll look at key comments as it concerns the need for credible polls going into 2027. And joining us to discuss this is Comrade Segun Ayoola. Comrade Segun, good morning to you and thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning to you. Good morning, viewers.
Following the appointment and approval of the new INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopitan, he made a promise on the floor of the National Assembly saying in his tenure as INEC chairman, he will conduct elections where losers will congratulate winners. Now many argue on how much of an influence he was in the preparation for the Anambra Gube elections. However, we're seeing oppositions and losers in that elections not being quick to congratulate the person who emerged the winner. I like your assessment of the conduct of the Anambra election and your projections in our view for credible elections in Nigeria. The floor is yours, sir.
Very much for the opportunity. The Anambra election is a litmus test for the new INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopitan. I was one of those people that opposed that statement when he said that the losers will congratulate the winners. In Nigerian politics, you and I know that it is not so. The spirit of sportsmanship is not so in the Nigerian politics. The losers at the worst instance will go to court. The only time we saw that happen in Nigerian politics was during Goodluck Jonathan, when he said that his ambition is not worth the spill of any Nigerian blood. How many, contestants who lost before him or after him can do the same? That is one. The election in Anambra has come and gone. The incumbent governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, is now the governor, the incumbent governor, and the governor in wait, as the case may be this time. I congratulate him. If you ask me, I'm not an Ambrarian, but I think for his policy so far and his antecedents, while he was the governor of Central Bank, he brought so many, policies that we are benefiting today. And I am of opinion that he's going to do the same for the people of Anambra. Those who have lost, if they have their evidence, they have proof for any kind of malpractices before, during, and after the election, they can come up with those proofs. Why not? They can go to court. They may get justice. We have seen that happen in so many states in the past, and the elections have been, victories have been given to those who went to court with proofs that they actually won the election. So why not? Let them go to court. It is in the court that we see court today as an extension of INEC, because the court can decide to sack after the election has been conducted. So we are waiting. It's interesting. We are waiting to see the outcome of the tribunal.
One of the sad incidences that marred the Anambra elections was the death of a councillor. Although persons have also pointed to undue voter inducements, intimidation, and thuggery as part of this, but when these issues happen, people also do advise that the best way to seek redress is to go through legal channels, going to court. Do you see there being any change in this history of post-election litigations and election petition tribunals, barring these sad incidences of a death recorded and pockets of violence that mark elections?
Yes, the Nigerian elections are not without violence. I am not supporting that. They are not without violence. You know, Anambra is a hot state. Those who contend, those who are contesting for that election, they are people from Anambra with their kind of belief that it is either me or we die. Do or die matter. It's not supposed to be so. Whatever happens in the court, you know, after election, the lawyers smiled to the state, and then thereafter they smiled to the banks. We have made it so because of our intolerance, because of our lack of tolerance, our lack of support for one another, our lack for good governance. Otherwise, you don't expect violence before and during election. If we come together as one people, if we come together in unity, believing in the status quo of an individual, we see all together as the one who can deliver. And we do so with understanding that the person you are supporting may fail. If he fails, I should be able to accept failure or go to court instead of killings. I think that sensitization has to begin to be very, very strong. The media will come, will help, and our opinion leaders should begin to do something about that. In the past, Abdulsalami Abubakar was championing that by calling contestants to come and sign memorandum of understanding to kind of thwart any kind of violence, that they will be held liable for any violence from among their supporters. I didn't see that happen this time. Sorry about the death of the councillor. It's so because of election, brouhaha, and may so rest in peace. But honestly, there is need to be proactive because whatever has been done. You cannot withhold or recover what has been lost, especially life. So we need to be proactive than being, taking action after the deeds have been done. Like I said, this is a litmus test for the new INEC chairman. He should come out to convince us why this is so and why is there vote buying. Does he have power to stop the vote buying? Does he have power to punish those who sell their votes or those who buy both votes? So these are some of the things that have to be checked and see what the INEC chairman can do to that regard, or all the security organizations who are saddled with the responsibility of arresting these situations. What have they done that has allowed all of these incidences to happen? So these are some of the questions that they need to ask.
Pertinent issue you raised here while making your remark. You says the powers that enforce for punishments to be meted or prosecutions to also find their way when these issues are germane. This has to do with the Electoral Act and provisions under the electoral law. However, it's at a time when this is being debated on the floor of the National Assembly, amendments to the Electoral Act of 2022, And particularly when you look at the warnings given by experts as the first Delhi's anniversary lecture, Rotimi Amaechi says electoral reform should be top of Nigeria's priority as our future as a nation hangs on the credibility of 2027 elections. What do you make of the deliberations on the floor of the National Assemblies so far in a bid to make it a top priority and amend our electoral act so that punishments are meted where necessary?
The comment is necessary. It is not necessary because Amaechi said so. It is necessary because it is our agitation and an agitation of every right-thinking Nigerians. And sometimes I begin to think, when people are in government, they don't speak the truth. It is when they are out of government, you begin to hear wonderful comments. And this is not supposed to be so. Nigeria is our country. Whether you are in government or out of government, you should ensure that whatever role you play should make Nigeria to work. To make Nigeria to work. We all should do the needful. Wherever we are, we should do the needful. And when an individual of that status, like a former minister, former governor, somebody who has been in government for talking about 18 years, who now come and begin to talk about electoral reform, that goes to tell you that he's now interested in elective position. He wants to recontest, either in one way or the other, and he wants the system to work. I mean, whilst he was in the ministry as a minister, what did he do? Does he have power to sponsor bills as regards to this? Did he call his senators and House of Rep members while he was governor? Did he discuss this matter with them? Do you know that there are people who have lost elections because of lacunas in the electoral reforms that we have already operating? So, talking about electoral reform, every Nigerians are talking about it. It's not because it is Amaechi speaking at this time. You and I know that has been a problem in the election, in our electoral process. How is it carried out before, during, and after election? What do we do? What can we do to take away electoral malpractices and all of those things that will guide against killings, that will guide against changing of numbers, that will guide against even the electronic machines we use during the elections? There are so many states that have records that differs from one another. The one record in another state is different from what they have at the national headquarters, and this is the same INEC. So the National Assembly knows what to do. Let them come out and do the needful. Let them give us good electoral reforms that works for everybody, both the losers and the winners. It is until that is done that what the professor has said, the INEC chairman, can be seen to interplay. That is my opinion.
Voids in which some of these issues are perpetrated. One of the biggest lacunas, many argue, is the lack of a national election petition commission, one that punishes issues bordering on this. People talk about, as much as the electoral acts provide for recommendations, there is no body in its entirety that is saddled with being able to prosecute these cases. Most often than not, they are all lumped up in the post-election tribunal, submitted to whichever appellate court, and most times even to the Supreme Court. Do you think that we need a National Electoral Offences Commission to be able to punish these offences?
My thought is as good as yours. And in fact, I was about talking about that area. When you have a reform that does not have the power or give a particular organization or agency power to arrest and punish, then what you have done is actually infutility. It's like a dog who can bark and not being able to bite. A dog who backs should be able to bite. It is only until the dog is able to bite that dog can be taken serious. Whatever reforms, whatever thing you do at the National Assembly, if it does not have people who will take care of these laws, I can tell you, it will amount to futility. The offenders, as we speak, from 1999, those who were arrested at one point or the other are back in the streets without any punishment. Look at what happened in Kogi, for example, some years back. Those who were arrested, where are they? They are back in the society, walking tall. What about the ones recently in Ondo? What happened? Where are they? What happened to them? So I am of the opinion that if the National Assembly is looking at our electoral reform, they should ensure that an organization like the EFCC in charge of financial crimes is established. Electoral reform should have an agency that takes care of electoral offenders. Until that is done, whatever thing we are doing will be in futility.
That there be enforcement of laws to curb vote buying. I know it's becoming more technical when we talk about vote buying, because quite recently, one of the announcements that kind of sparked curiosity in my mind was announcement by key political figures pledging cash rewards to local governments who churn out the highest number of votes. Is this technically inducement, or does vote buying only describe the acts of visiting polling units on election day to exchange cash for thumbprints?
In my opinion, whatever thing an individual does, apart from electoral promises, whatever thing an individual who is contesting for elective posts does, apart from the electoral promises, is vote buying. For example, if the one who is contesting, or his followers, or his messengers, as the case may be, engages in giving cash as gifts to supporters, can name them, he can call it any name, or by buying gifts to supporters, it is electoral malpractice, is vote buying. Anybody who has conscience is relative. Anybody who has a substantial percentage of conscience will not accept that. But there are people who have very low level of conscience, who after accepting this will still go ahead and vote for the bad person. The reason why people buy vote is because they foresee that they are going to lose. They foresee that they are not good enough. That is why they buy votes. They foresee that their money can get power. They foresee that their money can give them the position. They have the money. They must go in. They must buy all the people, both the officials of the electoral bodies, and so they use the money to induce them. So whatever thing that relates to that is an inducement, is an electoral malpractice. All of that has to be taken care of. But my brother, the problem lies now in the National Assembly. Who are the members of this National Assembly? Are they not elected members who are also involved in this election in future, who will contest as senators or governors or House of Rep members, as the case may be in future? Are they not the one that will look into this electoral, program, and then forestall all kind of anomalies to ensuring that we have a good electoral reform? But when it comes to the working of electoral reforms, and they foresee that this thing is going to work against them, do you think they are going to append their signatures or even talk about it? It will die even before arrival. That is the fact. That's the problem. We'll be facing this electoral reform back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, because they will always design it in a way that it will work for them. And how many people are in elected position today who, in one way or the other, do not give out money, do not give inducement, or do not buy conscience? So this is the problem. We'll be turning round and round and round, and we will not get it right. I pray that God will help us. But I'm also speaking to those who are in the National Assembly. If you do the needful today, even if you lose, Nigeria is bigger than you, and Nigeria will work. And if Nigeria work, your children and your unborn children will benefit. Is it not better than that your personal aggrandizement, your personal interest, that you have to change, you have to make it work for you today? We are looking for a long-run solution. Forget about the election you are going to lose today. Focus on the election that will come for you, your children, and your children unborn tomorrow. I beg of you, make the election work this time. The election reform, make it work. It will better our lot as a people, as a nation, and we will stand tall among the community of nations.
It's a very pertinent one. Thanks for lending your voice to the advocacy for credible elections. But the question now is, as much as persons like yourself, Serap, are urging the INEC and the National Assembly to ensure that issues and vote buying can be curbed, what are the dangers of running what many perceive to be a cash and carry democracy?
Can you take that again?
My question is, what are the dangers of running what many describe as a cash and carry democracy, where the outcomes of results are largely influenced by the levels of poverty, where people are willing to sell their votes for as low as 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 naira, or even, in some instances, food stuff?
That is the problem, sir. That is where we are. When the individual seeking for elective position uses his money to buy election, one thing he does, first thing he does, is to see how he will recoup his money back. You can imagine sharing money to 1,000 persons, for example. If you are to share 1 billion naira to 1,000 persons, an individual may not get more than 10,000 naira. And that individual, by the time he goes to the office, what does he do? He is going to take that 1 billion naira from the coffers of government first. The second thing he does is the profit. The third thing he does is to ensure that he uses another money to come back again. So, whereas the people who voted for him will be left in their abject poverty. It's a cash and carry syndrome. And that is what is interplaying in our election today in Nigeria. People use their money to trade for electoral power, elective positions. They buy. And when they buy, they recoup their money. And when they recoup their money, they get the profits, because some of them borrow money from banks or microfinance or individuals. Or some of them are given this money with the promise to pay back by friends and family members. This is what happened. Let it be reduced to a level where it is only about your person, your personality, your influence, your individual, your antecedents, what you can offer, what you can give to the people, not about the one in your hand. We have come a long way collecting what is in their hand. Let it be that from now, let it be that we are expecting what you as an individual who is contesting for this election can give us, can deliver. Take us from where we are to where we should be as a people. That is the calling of all the electorate all over the world. We are tired of receiving peanuts. Give us the road, give us hospitals, give us good education, give us power, electricity. Give us all of those things, and then we know that after you have done all of this, individually as a people, we will begin to engage ourselves in legitimate businesses, and poverty will be no more. As a matter of fact, in the long run, you will discover that contesting for an elected post will be a call for responsibility that you do not have time to even give. It will be a responsibility you don't want to take. You'll be busy with your business. If the government is actually working, it will come to that if the electoral reforms are done the way it should be.
Let's also move away from these topics on the conduct of elections, but still tying it to some of the debates when people say political actors sponsor thuggery, buy weapons for political thugs, and after the elections fail to retrieve them, and these persons use them to foment troubles in communities. But looking at part of the reports making the rounds following Donald Trump's threats to Nigeria, the presidency has issued a statement saying that part of the insecurity in the North Central, to be specific, predates these issues. They border on a historical bad blood, one that dwells on mistrust, land grabbing, illegal mining, and other vices. What do you make of this comment from the presidency as to some of the root causes of insecurity in particularly the North Central region?
I'm so sorry. Can you take that question again? I was interrupted.
The statement of the presidency when it comes to the root cause of some of the insecurities we find in the North Central. They say historically it predates some of the issues with the allegations and the threats as issued by President Donald Trump, bordering on issues of land grabbing and hostilities within communities that also have to do with mistrust within such communities. What do you make of this narrative building around some of the issues bordering on insecurity?
Those narratives are facts. They are facts, and they are simple realities on ground that everybody have seen. The kind of election that happened in the past, Kaduna State, for example, there was a governor who came out on radio and television to say, we used to go to the bush, plead with them, we give them cash gift, we beg them to reduce the killing. He's now a former governor, and nothing has happened. Now, there are so many things owing to insecurities in our nation, Nigeria. When people come out and say herders and farmers clash, to me, it is not herders and farmers clash. There is something else to it. When you clash, you see that there is a genuine reason for clash. The one who is in the clash, the opposite side will give you their genuine reasons why they went into clash. But in this case, the herders will come with their AK-47. The farmers have only cutlass and their hoes. You and I know at the level, the extent, the damage the two can cause. And you are calling that herders and farmers clash? It is not also a communal clash or ethnic clash. No. Until they are able to come out and tell us. But thank God for the President of the United States of America. The USA has a president that has a deep feeling of purpose and clarity. Since he made that directives, since he gave that directives to Pentagon, you see how our security chiefs begin to wake up. You see how they begin to have meetings. What are they doing now? Why didn't they do so before? To me, if you are saddled with the responsibility, do it to the latter. You don't wait until you begin to hear, countries like United States of America come to make directives in your land on what to do in your land. That, to me, is a slap. But I think I support that, because if you are unable to divide the fight, you need somebody who is neutral to come in. In this case, I see United States of America as neutral, and they will have a role to play here. There won't be nepotic, like leaders or security chiefs, as the case may be, may want to be. They will not. There will be no corruption. In 2018, the President of America made a statement, President Trump. He said, Nigeria is corrupt. He said Nigeria is good in corruption. Corruption has come to stay. But if the US is able to help us to cleanse our security challenges, it may be that we'll begin to start from there. If our security challenges are fixed, maybe the farmers in my village will go back to their farms. Maybe the farmers in your own village will begin to go back, because the fear of the unknown has kept us in towns. You can go, so many villages are wiped out, they are no longer on the map. So many churches are wiped out, they are no longer in the map, owing to the fact of insecurity. And that has to be sometimes political. Yes, there are people who want to be in power, and if they lose, they want to come back. Either they come back or they spoil the case for the person who is in power. And that is why we will continue to remember President Goodluck Jonathan. He has so much respect today, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa and the whole world at large. Only God knows what would have happened that time if Goodluck had contested for that election and said he did not win. He has the power to contest and regain his power, but what would have happened after that? And that was when he said, congratulations, Mr. President, you won the election. You won the election. I congratulate you. You see, and that put to hold, that silenced all the insecurities that have already been in place. So, my brother, you will agree with me, all of this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, to say it. If we cannot click, let us destroy it. And by the grace of God, Trump is coming. And that is the fear.
Back to the North Central with the peculiarities of the issue. Quite recently, away from the statement of the presidency, bandits again struck in Kogi. They attacked 5 vehicles, abducted numbers of passengers from those vehicles. It seems as though kidnapping and such tendencies are becoming more lucrative for these individuals. I also saw an instruction from the president saying that the Development Commission should work with respected state governments to tackle these issues within their regions. The North Central region is one of the most recent in terms of the Development Commission that has been put in place within the region. However, the North Central Development Commission is yet to get its takeoff budget to even begin to operate. How do you see the government and the commission being able to tackle this issue of bandit attack on travelers across their highways in reference to this incident that just happened in Kogi?
Long before now, we were told that the bandits, those who foment terrorism in this country, after Trump's directives to Pentagon, we're told that they are going to be doing a kind of massive abduction of people to shield themselves. So when I heard about the abduction in Kogi, I knew it had started. I knew it had started and it's going to, it may continue. So my take is simple. We said that we do not begin to mix things up for the security organizations and for the people who are coming to help us. My fear is that let there not be a kind of sabotage, because it looks like the bandits are up in their strategy. They may decide to begin to change their strategy owing to these directives by the United States President. So This abduction may not be unconnected with that. So my advice to the security agencies and organizations is to see how they can also up their operations. Because the individual or group of people cannot be stronger than the government. And I've always said this. I believe in the words of the former head of state, General Sani Abacha. He said, if insecurity strives for more than 24 hours, you will believe that the government hand is in it. Because these people are not spirits. Security organizations are everywhere. They are more in number than the group of people that foment these troubles all over our nation. So let them be up in their activities, in their operations. Their intel report should be up. They should use their intel report. They should not ignore intel reports. It doesn't matter who gives them the report, whether individual in the local area or a group of people or opinion leaders or anybody. Whatever information you receive, please work on it. You never can tell how it will help. And that is my take on what happened in Kogi and what we are thinking may happen all over the Federation.
Let's also talk about another breaking story that emanated last night when it was reported that Boko Haram and ISWAP did clash along the Lake Chad region in relation to the growing insecurity in the country. Is it surprising that we're seeing two different factions of extremists clashing amongst themselves?
A surprise. It is not a surprise. As a matter of fact, in international politics, when I was in the university, we were taught that members of terrorist groups don't know each other. Members of terrorist groups, I take it again, they don't know each other. You belong to this group, I belong to this group, yet we don't know each other. Until the commander invites and introduces you to the other person. And that is how it is so. How do they operate? Some of them come with seized Nigerian army hardwares. Either the uniform, the gunboat, or machine gun, or whatever. And so, if ISWAP and Boko Haram clash, do you know what have interplayed there? The one group have seen the other as the government agency. And so, for one group, the other group is a government agency. And for the other group, the other one too is a government agency. You know that they don't work together, they don't know each other. In international politics, we believe that this is possible. So for one terror group to attack another, it is very possible. And I think that is what has played out between the ISWAP and the Boko Haram members.
Concerning news is the need to protect our borders, because we're told that it's owing to border porosity and hence the reason why these bandits can infiltrate the Lake Chad region and seep into countries all the way to certain regions and parts of the country. How would you assess the performance of our border control in ensuring that the porosity of our borders are brought to the barest minimum?
Borders are so porous. We don't have securities at our borders. And I know what I'm saying. I've traveled far and near. I've traveled to some borders in this country, and I discovered there are no securities. Come to places like Sokoto, border with Cameroon. When you see the kind of trucks on that road that are not being checked, you will be surprised. Either they are coming in or they are going out. From Maiduguri to Chad, you see what do you call Sharon buses, the kind of loads they carry from this country to those countries. you will be shocked. Some of them travel overnight. They live somewhere within central area or southwest, and then they sleep over in the middle belt or the central, north central, and then they travel all night to such places like Cameroon. So our borders are so porous, and then the question is, who is protecting our borders? Is it the immigration, who probably are not even trained to guide against terrorism? They are only trained to guide against individuals, immigrants, those who cross from one country to another. And such an individual is not expected to carry gun. Is not expected to attack you as the agency, the agent, or the organization that is checkmating the movement of the people. You don't expect immigration to carry gun and shoot the one who is, disobeying the law. So the question again is, who is protecting our borders? How many armies are at the borders? And if they checkmate, they say they are infringing on the right of the individual. Let me tell you, some of these bandits in security trainings I have attended, I learned that even individuals who move in group can decide to dismantle their arms and ammunitions. One bag will be carrying the pipe, another bag will be carrying empty magazine, another bag will be carrying some bullets, another bag will be carrying triggers and so on. So they dismantle and share in several bags. So the one who is checking may decide to say, okay, let me take one bag out of the whole bag or two, and he probably saw pipes, and that's supposed to be the pipe of an ammunition like AK-47. You say, well, with all of this, what can this one do? It's not a gun, it's not a complete gun. And then you check another bag and you see ordinary empty magazine. You say, well, this cannot harm anybody. Whereas there are other bags that has, the other compartments, which the individual security person did not check. By the time they get to their destination, they couple all of this and it becomes a gun. These are some of the things that they do to ferry.
Those are sessions. As we look to conclude, we have a little less than 5 minutes. We've dwelt so much on these issues bordering on some of the negative aspects of our nationhood we're looking to change through advocacy. Let's talk about one that affects our economy. One of the major drivers in the transport sector, particularly when it comes to aviation, is the state of our airports. This morning, the Guardian newspaper talked about the need to revisit the key components as it concerns unbundling our roads, where most of the aviation fuel, in particular Jet A1, is ferried to the airports by reinstilling pipelines to deliver them directly to the aircraft on the tarmac. What do you make of these suggestions in a bid to unbundle our roads and make for safer transportation of Jet A1 fuel to Nigerian airports?
My take is simple. Anyone involved in sordid deals should be brought to book. And not just brought to book, but punished to the latter. Let the law, the full wrath of the law, come upon that individual. Because the buyers of this Jet A1, they didn't buy it because it was stolen. They buy them because it is for their business. And let me tell you, they didn't buy them cheap. For the one who steals should be brought to book, it should be dealt with. And if the buyer is not buying from the government stipulated channel, then they should be also invited and questioned. Because you don't steal to make your money. You have to obey the law. And as an individual, you are not bigger than the law. And that's the problem that we have in this country. There are people who are seen as bigger than the law. And that has destroyed us as a nation. But until the law begins to work for A and B, then it is not a law. When the law is sided When the law is, is only on the poor, then what you are doing is just to protecting the interest of the rich. And this should be disallowed. The security agencies and organizations are also complicit, leading to this problem, because I know very well that there are people who are in charge of bunkering, oil bunkering, anti-vandalism, the what do you call them, the civil defense, the police, the army. Those who are designated to take care of those people, those places should be brought to book. Why did this happen? And you don't invite individual for questioning, and then the individual just through the back door give you something, and you say the individual is clean and he should be allowed to go. And this is what is happening. You see them riding on bigger vehicles, though they are protecting our pipelines. Their salaries is not enough to afford them with this kind of houses or this kind of vehicles. And you don't question them. You don't bring them to book. They continue to take this money from those who are stealing from our collective blessings, and then enriching themselves while allowing the illegality to continue. So the impunity has become so much, it is blown, it has eaten very deep into the fabrics of our nation, and something has to be done about it. I know the president is a listener, like as I've always said. He will do something, not only to this banditry or whatever directives by the President of the United States of America, but also on our pipelines. You will see that their sales will be going down, their output will be going down, because some people are stealing and they are getting away with impunity. They should be brought to book. That's my take.
For taking our time to be a part of our discuss this morning. We appreciate you for lending your thoughts to the issues in the news, and we're wishing you the best of the rest of your day.
Thank you so very much. I wish you same from here. Thank you.
The rest of your day.